I'm reading now verses 3 and 4. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he's the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he's the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Now, my point is this, that a government is to maintain law and order. And when it doesn't do that, it has failed, and I think the Christian is to be opposed to that. He says here, the rulers, we're to respect them when they are enforcing the law. And I'll be very honest with you. I have great respect today for our Army, and yet I know it's honeycombed with corruption. I have great respect today for policemen, and yet I know they make mistakes, but I don't think they make near the mistakes that they get blamed for today. The thing is, I even have respect for the traffic cop that stops me and says, say, did you know you were going past the speed limit? And I can't blame him for that. I blame this boy for his stupidity and not watching that rearview mirror a little more careful than I did. It was my mistake. But actually the child of God is to obey law. Listen to verse 5. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. Not only because you'll be judged and have to pay the fine, but for conscience sake. And every Christian, I'll be honest with you, I never hear a siren. But what I don't look in the rearview mirror and slow down. And I think that's a Christian conscience that has you do that, my friend. Now, verse 6, for this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers attending continually upon this very thing. And I resent today the way taxes are being used. The problem is not with the form of government. The problem is with man. Man is the X in the equation of government. And that X is an uncertain entity, let me say. Now, he says, for this cause pay ye tribute. Or, for on account of this ye pay taxes also, for they're God's ministers attending continually upon this very matter. And he's called a minister here. And that's the same word for a minister in religion. It's the same word that we have in liturgy. And this means that the ruler occupies a divinely appointed office. He has no religious function whatsoever, nor is he a religious person. But he is a God-appointed office. That makes me pay my taxes, but I resent it, and I'm cynical about today in this land of ours. We need a heaven-sent revival. And I'm tired of liberalism today. I'm sick and tired of these that are shedding crocodile tears. You remember the walrus and the carpenter. And Carroll was writing a book of brilliant satire. Remember the walrus and the carpenter? That's liberal religion and politicians. They were walking along the seashore and they were weeping. You know what they were weeping for? Because there was so much sand. But they just kept eating the oysters. And I say to you, what a picture that is of corruption. But listen, this is the position of the child of God. Verse 7, render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. And I believe I should respect my policemen. I don't think any of them are pigs. I think there are a lot of pigs calling them pigs, but I don't think they are. And I think I should respect them. And I respect the man in uniform. And I do not think that any cartoon should be made of the President of the United States or a governor of the state. There may be unworthy men in the office, but we're to respect the office. They used to tell me in the Army, you salute the uniform. But I want to tell you, there's some folk in that uniform. I didn't care about saluting, but you saluted the uniform. We should have respect today. And that is the position of the Christian in this world today. A Christian will make the best citizen, though his citizenship is in heaven. Now, we have a relationship to our neighbor. This is here in verses 8 through verse 14, and this will take us through the chapter. He says, "Now owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another fulfill the law." Did you borrow the lawnmower of your neighbor? Take it home. Housewife, did you borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor? Then return it, please. Owe no one anything, not even one person, except loving one another. Now, that's what you owe them. In this, we find Paul saying that the believers positively to owe no man anything. Now, this is a great principle to guide Christians in installment purchasing, by the way. Somebody says, you don't think you ought to buy on credit? Turn in your credit cards? No. Better see your way clear that you're going to be able to pay your debts. And he does add that the believer always owes the debt of love to his neighbor. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily the man next door. You remember, he's already said you live peaceably as much as you can. But certainly, this matter of love is a practical thing that he's talking about here. Now, this is not some sentimental thing, and I get just a little disturbed myself today when I hear liberalism continually talk about love, and it's got man talking about it. Love, love, love. Well, how do you reveal love? Well, thou shalt not commit adultery. And today there is this committing of adultery, this sin of sex is about us. Now, don't tell me you love and that you're committing adultery. You don't. You can call that love if you want to, but it's nothing in the world but sex. And it is nothing in the world but licentiousness, it's fornication, and it's sin in God's sight. He hasn't changed. And love reveals itself. Thou shalt not kill. You can kill a person more ways than pulling the trigger on a gun. You can ruin their reputation. Therefore, thou shalt not steal. You won't get anything dishonestly. And thou shalt not covet. And that is something today. When that neighbor drives up in the new automobile, how do you feel about it? Sometimes we say, I wish I had that car and they had one just like it. What you really mean is you would like to have it and wish they didn't. Or you'd much rather for you to have it than for them to have it. Now, love manifests itself in these areas. He's not putting the Christian back under law. He's just saying, now, you talk about love all you want to, Mr. Liberal, but are you making your church a place to get the pills and to get drugs? Then you don't love anybody. You're just a hypocrite. That's all you are. Because love manifests itself not committing adultery, not killing, not stealing, not bearing false witness, not coveting. Don't tell me that you do these things and you still love. You don't. What you're talking about is sex, and that's not what Paul's talking about.